God works in mysterious ways, and here we are today in Las Vegas.
I think with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly are going to build, and along with Geno Smith, instant credibility.
There is a nuance going on here, which is if we're the Raiders guys and we're driving to the stadium, we have a chance to go win the game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders in tonight's video. Now, this is a really under the radar team here, and it seems like people are kind of picking that up as the offseason progresses. But training camp officially began for this team today, and unfortunately, 7 different quarterbacks have started for this Las Vegas Raiders team in 3 seasons. Last year, the offense was a mess. The defense as well was 25th in points allowed, giving up over 25 points per game. And yesterday, new head coach Pete Carroll said something: we're going to win a bunch of games. I've been winning 10 games a year for 20 years. And that's the biggest source of optimism for this Las Vegas Raiders team. You have a literal proven coach and quarterback combination. Geno Smith, I get it. He turns 35 in October. Pete Carroll will be 74 in September. I'm not saying this team or this quarterback coach duo is going to run the league for the next 10 seasons, but it gives this Raiders team something that has not existed in way too long, and that is just simple stability. They both have proven NFL credentials. Pete Carroll, as we know, led the Seattle Seahawks to 2 Super Bowl appearances, winning 1 in the Legion of Boom era, and Geno Smith is a 2-time Pro Bowler who also previously played under Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, when we look at history and statistics over the past 3 seasons, the Raiders have ranked just 27th in passing grade per PFF. During that same 3-year stretch, Geno Smith has posted the 8th highest, or I should say 8th best mark in the league. All they had to do to acquire him was trade a 3rd-round draft pick. So you've got Max Crosby, you've got Brock Bowers, who's well on his way to being one of the best, already is one of the better tight ends in the National Football League. And what's even crazier is with the 6th overall pick, the Raiders selected Ashton Jeanty, the best running back in this draft class. So hopefully the Raiders here are looking at their first playoff victory since the 2002 season. My favorite move outside of Pete Carroll and Geno Smith is obviously their 1st-round pick in Jeanty, who was clearly the best running back in college football last season, and you're hoping it translates to the NFL. It seems like it will be a pretty easy transition for Ashton. 126 missed tackles, that was the most in college football. He also had over 1,700 yards after contact, which was nearly 600 more than any other college football player last season. Another fun fact before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video: Pete Carroll and Geno Smith had never had a losing record while playing or being together. So before we get into it, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I do apologize, it's been way too long since our last Raiders video. This is one of those teams that it just gets me excited. And like I said, now that it's the end of July and training camp has started and ESPN and all those big guys, they're talking about football again, because of Geno, because of Pete, and because of Jeanty, people are finally talking, hopefully, optimistically about this Raiders team. And, I kind of want to pinpoint the offensive line here real quick because they had some interesting moves. Right guard Alex Kappa from the Cincinnati Bengals. They also drafted Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. I was reading a PFF article, and they had the Raiders' 18th offensive line rank, which I think on paper is fine here. Colton Miller, I don't think, other than maybe Raiders or AFC West fans really know who Colton Miller is, but last year he was the 11th rated offensive tackle with pass blocking, so very excited about that. At left guard, you got Dylan Parham, who had a breakout season, earning a 74.3 overall grade, which was 17th amongst all guards, all right? Rookie right tackle DJ Glaze, rookie center JPJ Jackson Power Johnson. These guys showed a lot of progress. They showed a lot of encouraging potential. JPJ's unbiasedly probably about to become one of the better centers in the National Football League here in the upcoming year. And if this group, I get it, maybe the right guard position's a little bit uncertain at this point in time. Got Thayer Munford Jr. playing guard snaps. Maybe that's the final cog to this offensive line, but it is young and it is ready to protect Geno and open up some holes for Jeanty. Speaking of Jeanty, speaking of these rookies, second round pick, 58th overall, Jack Beck, wide receiver out of TCU. He had a great season last year. 2024 became actually the 5th player in team history to record a 1,000-yard receiving season. He finished 6th in the Big Ten in receiving yards with 1,034. And then becoming a fan favorite, 4th round draft pick, 108 overall, Dante Thornton. This dude's film is nuts. Like, it's like a 6'5" wide receiver who's running like a 4.4. I mean, he had maybe statistically like the big number receiving yards. He had a career best, but maybe it's underwhelming to some people. But it's a 4th round draft pick, and Tennessee wasn't the best offense last year. But he's coming off a career best 661 yards in 2024. But the favorite part about him is his big-time play potential. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Trey Tucker in that category, although they are very different players. Last season, he led the nation in yards per catch at 25.4. You heard that correctly. I know it's college football, but he led all of college with 25.4 yards per catch and also catches for 50-plus yards at 6. Now, Raiders fans, I know you guys have already been watching the film. I know you guys are already amped about him, but if you're looking for something to do tonight and you don't know who Dante Thornton is, go watch 3-minute, 4-minute highlight tape from last year at Tennessee, because the dude was a stud. Where you get into some more concerns, I should say, is the defense. Now, when healthy, this defensive line is very, very good. Max Crosby, obviously, Malcolm Kuntz, underrated player, coming back after his torn ACL last year. Waiting for Tyree Wilson to kind of fulfill his potential. I know Christian Wilkins just landed on the PUP list. Deal with that later. New linebacker room, Jermaine Pratt, Landon Roberts. But where people have concerns with this team is their secondary. And I really loved what Pete Carroll had to say yesterday. At the time of this recording, it was yesterday. It was speaking to the media the day before training camp began, and he pretty much compared this group, the secondary group, to the Seahawks Legion of Boom era. If you don't know, Pete Carroll is an absolute gem. He's an absolute wizard with developing cornerbacks, or I should say defensive backs in general. And he said this quote because it fired me up. "I'm fired up about the back end. We're really athletic, we're really fast, and we're big. It's an impressive looking group. I can't remember ever having a group that looks more impressive than this one. My old guys will be mad at me for saying that, but it's the truth. These guys are big, fast, and hungry to make a name for themselves." And Jeremy Chin was one of my favorite picks of this entire, or I should say trades, pickups, I guess even more, of this entire offseason. But I would like Isaiah Palomalu, people don't even know who he is. He had a great year last year. The headliner right now, because it just happened a few days ago, was Jamal Adams. I did like what John Spytek had to say on Raider Nation Radio. He was saying pretty much that the team intends on playing him closer to the line of scrimmage. A guy like Jamal Adams hasn't really been able to stay healthy for numerous seasons now, but Pete Carroll utilized Adams this exact way with the Seattle Seahawks all the way a few years ago, and he actually finished as the #1 overall safety graded in 2022. And this is a Pete Carroll guy. It's who Pete Carroll wanted. And I know it's just training camp, but it does have me pretty fired up about this group of defensive backs for this Raiders team. So, folks, that's all we got time for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Give me a loose win-loss projection for this Raiders team down below, and we'll see you soon. Peace.